What's up, guys? So today we are in the garage and we are going to install a spacer kit for the rear shock. The reason for this is the 2024 street triples come with a 5mm spacer at the top of the rear shock, and what that does is it essentially pitches the bike slightly forward and will give you a little bit sharper handling. The 2017 to 2022, maybe 23, they don't have that spacer, so the bike is a bit more of a flatter profile. But it's a simple mod to do. You actually get a kit from Triumph, which I'll put on screen. But my local Triumph dealer didn't have any in stock, and I don't feel like waiting 3 weeks for it to come from the UK. So what it essentially is basically just a metal spacer. So I went to the hardware store and got a washer, and the main dimensions you need is that the central hole needs to be 12mm or bigger. Actually, it needs to be 13mm or bigger, because that's the size of the bolt that's on top of the clavis that this sits over. So this one that I have is way oversized, which is fine. So this is 17mm by 30mm, and it is 3mm thick. So the Triumph spacer is 5mm, so we'll just add two of these together, and this is 6mm, so a little bit higher than what you get in the kit, but it will work just fine for this. Okay, so I already have the back strapped up, and the reason for this is that the subframe and the swing arm are two different sections of the bike connected by the shock. So if we were to pull this bolt out, they would collapse together, which is what we don't want. So when we are about to take the bolt out, we'll put this under tension to lift the subframe up so that it doesn't fall. So let's start with taking the seat off. Like that, and get the seat. Okay. Sorry if you can hear my breathing. I'm wearing my helmet. Okay, tank bolts. These have little washers on the end, so try not to drop them. Okay. Then we need a 8mm socket to get the tank off. And then some needle nose pliers just to pull the sleeve out. This will help us get the tank off. There we go. Okay, now the cloth is for when we take off the fuel line, just so that it doesn't spray fuel everywhere. Okay, so remove the overflow pipe, evap, fuel level sensor, I think, fuel pump, and then the quick disconnect. You pull this brown tab back, then you push on either side, and some fuel is going to come out because it's under a little bit of pressure. Yeah, there's a bit, quite a bit. And then we're going to just be careful with this to not get these rubbers stuck. Then you want to put the tank somewhere safe, preferably pointing downwards so that there's no pressure on the plastic fuel tube. You don't want that to break, otherwise you can have big issues. Okay, so got that off. Now that is the bolt that we're going to be taking off, and now what we can do is undo that and then put the back under a bit of tension, and then we can undo the side bolt. So that is a 19 millimeter and this is 52 Newton meters. So when we come to put it back on, we will torque it to the correct spec. Then we need to take off the rear brake reservoir, because the Torx head bolt, we can just put that to the side, under there is what we need to undo and put that back in the hole. Okay, so let's add a little bit of tension to this, because we don't want to try and take the bolt out while it's under tension. It's going to be quite difficult. Okay, let's do a little bit. So you need a T45 and a 14mm spanner. I'm going to put on there. Need quite a few extensions to get in here. Whoops. Let's just make sure this is on the bolts, which is here. It's quite a long bolt. Okay, so put my strap back. There's the nut, and now what we can do is just tap it lightly from the other side so that it pops out. You see the back dropped a bit, so let's raise it up a little bit. There we go. That is easy enough. Now, very professionally, you drop everything down and lose the bolt. So there's the clavus. Basically, the washers just go on top of that. So take our two washers and we slot it back in. Now obviously the you can see the height difference because we've added washers there. We're gonna have to raise the bike up a bit. Okay, so we're going to have to raise the bike a little bit, like there maybe. Got the bolt. So this slots in over here like that, and then shock goes on there. There we go, put the bolt in. Now, obviously the bike is sitting a bit high, so we're going to drop it down onto the washers. It's going to be a bit violent, so I'm just going to support it a bit. Okay, so that is nice and easy. The bike is now fully under its own weight, so let's put the top nut back on. We'll torque this properly shortly. It didn't quite go in the right spot. There we go. Yeah, that's in the right spot. There we go. And then the nut. Okay, let's do that. And let's use the drill just to seat it, and then we will do the correct torque once it's in place. Okay, and just make sure it's all the way down nicely. Okay, now we can torque it. So let's get the torque wrench. Okay, so this torque is 47 newtons. So there's 42 plus 5. I mean, this long extension is not ideal. There we go. Get a spanner off. Okay, and then the top bolt is 52. So what we are now, 47 plus 5. So 47, 8, 9, 50, 1, 2. There we go. Okay. Now it's quite a bit of rain. Put the pillion seat on, and that's it. Let's take this strap off and sit on the bike, see how it feels. If I could get it off, that would be great. There we go. Okay, so Yeah, right away I can feel there's more leg room here. Before my legs are a little bit higher. Let's take it off the stand so we can get a proper feel for it. Yeah, so the seat feels a little bit higher at the back, but this legroom is definitely noticeable straight away. So I'm going to cut to the test ride footage now and give you my thoughts from there. Okay, so on the bike now, and I've been riding for 10 minutes or so, roughly in a straight line. But straight away I can feel there's quite a noticeable difference. The bike feels taller. I definitely feel like I have more leg room, which is nice. It's weird, like the front kind of feels tall as well. But yeah, overall it feels pretty good. I'm just on my way to the coast over there just to get some corners in, but yeah, it's feeling pretty nice. I'll see how it feels in the corners. I also did a wheelie about 2 minutes ago, and it was probably the best wheelie I've done on this bike. I don't know if it's just because the pivot point is now higher, so it takes a little bit more engine power to overcome that pivot point, whereas before it was a lot lower, so you would pivot up quickly. But it was very smooth and stable. So yeah, that feels pretty great. Yeah, I mean, that felt like really nice. Like with that wheelie, it felt like really controllable, whereas previously it was very snappy, very quick. But it could be, oh, I wasn't telling you to move. Thanks, bro. Yeah, so I don't know, it could be placebo. Maybe I just got better at wheelies in one day, but it feels a lot more manageable. So yeah, I'm gonna catch you up at the coast, hit some corners and see how it feels. But so far pretty good. Also the leg bend feels really nice. Like, honestly, I can actually notice a difference while I'm riding. My knee is sitting lower than it normally does. It's not up here. And at the traffic light, my leg angle is much straighter. It feels super comfortable, I must say. So yeah, initial impressions, really cool. Definitely a worthwhile upgrade. Okay, so I'm at the coast now, and yeah, there's quite a bit of traffic, unfortunately, so I can't really go too quick. Most of this road's not that great, but yeah, it feels good. Like I said earlier, it feels kind of tall. Funny enough, the steering actually feels a little bit slower but more stable. Damn, there's a lot of wind. So a bit of a weird feeling, but it feels nice. The increased legroom is great. Yeah, it feels very stable, is what I can say. Yeah, like the turn in feels more predictable. And smooth, very smooth. there's a cop in front of me. It kind of feels like a long wheelbase almost. I mean, I didn't check, but I don't think adding spaces to the shock would change the wheelbase, because you are raising the subframe up. The back wheel should be staying in the same place, so the steering should be sharper actually. But yeah, that's just my initial impressions, but I must say it feels really good. Kind of just repeating myself now, but everything feels nice and spacious now. Oh, the other thing I didn't mention was your hands would actually feel like you've got more weight on them, but it feels kind of the same. The front is the stock height. There's 12 millimeters to the top of the triple clamp, so that hasn't changed. Weight on my hands, it almost feels less actually, weirdly enough. Even though the back is higher, it feels like there's less weight on my hands. It's very comfortable. Like overall, the bike actually just feels a little bit bigger. It feels like it fits me a lot nicer. So yeah, definitely feeling good. I do want to turn around somewhere, because riding around at 50 km an hour is kind of shit. Also on the side of the bike, on the side of the tire, it feels very stable. I have also changed my suspension to sport settings. I was previously just riding it in comfort for commuting, and comfort was super nice, but sometimes it was a bit too soft, and sport feels pretty good, not as harsh as track obviously. So let's see if we can just get some corners going. Bumpy road. Yeah, feels good. Yeah, it feels like a much bigger bike randomly, but I like it. So yeah, I'll just end the video there instead of waffling along in traffic. Definitely worth the upgrade. If you are tall, even if you're not tall. So I'm 183 centimeters, which is right on 6 foot, and this definitely feels like a worthwhile upgrade to me. If you're short, you might struggle with the extra seat height, but if you have the low ride height version, which I think is just a lower seat, the actual foam in the seat, I can't remember if the low ride height actually has lowering links in it. Then yeah, I'm not sure. But for the average person, I would say definitely try it out. It's pretty easy to do. You could see earlier, I mean, I just went in blind, so I fumbled a bit and didn't really know what I was doing. But that probably took like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Now that I know how to do it, if I want to swap out for lower spaces, maybe 4mm, it would go a lot quicker, probably 15 minutes. And also, if you have somebody to lift the back of the bike up, as opposed to having to use ratchets and stuff, that's probably be a bit easier and a bit quicker. I just like the safety of the ratchets and the bike not being able to go anywhere. All the illegal moves. So yeah, anyway, enough crap talk. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.